Toastmasters? Guess? In February this year, the Winter Olympic Games in Sochi surprised us with the news of just one Mexican skier, Hubertus von Hohenlohe. Unfortunately, he made headlines because of his mariachi-inspired suit instead of his skiing prowess. I think he ended up in 57th place or something like that. Next, in March, a couple of weeks later, we heard about Lupita Nyong'o, who won the Academy Award for the Best Supporting Actress. Now, with such exotic names and appearances, well, except Lupita, because that's very Mexican, but with such exotic appearances, one thinks, how come they are Mexican? As the topic says, I did a little bit of research on the internet. I'm not a savant, so I had to look up in Wikipedia. And I found out that Hubertus was born in Mexico City while his father was working at a Volkswagen factory. I think he was directing the factory. And Lupita had the same case. She was born also in Mexico City while his parent was a visiting lecturer from El Colegio de Mexico, working in El Colegio de Mexico. Now, we can tell why, I cannot understand why their parents would think, hey, they can be Mexican, let's get them that nationality. So I went out and I found that in the Mexican Constitution, article number 30, it says that you can acquire Mexican nationality two ways, by birth or by naturalization. By birth, you get it being born here, just like that. You can be born here, you can be born in another country, but if your parents are Mexican, either just mom or just dad or both, and your parents have to be Mexican again, either by birth or by naturalization. Also, you can be Mexican by birth if you are born on a ship or an aircraft that has the Mexican flag. I know you have seen that in their planes. On the ships, they have a little piece with the Mexican flag that they are registered in Mexico. The other way by naturalization is that you have to have the criteria and then go to the Foreign Affairs Office, and they can evaluate you if you know Spanish, or if you're Latin American, you have to live a certain number of years in Mexico, and then they give you your letter that, hey, you can be Mexican. What happens with this being Mexican? It's just think about it, you can be just being born here or having parents. In law terms, this is called the right of the soil and the right of the blood. And if you look up at a map, for example, the whole Americas, most of them grant you nationality by being born there, from the United States all the way down to Argentina. But if you look at Europe and Asia, they most of the time give nationality based on your parents. This is very specific in France and I think in Germany. Why this happens? We take a look at our history courses back in high school. First, the nationalities didn't exist. People were nomads. So initially you only belong to your family, or you belong to a clan, to a tribe, your people. You were part of an ethnicity. But then as the countries began to evolve, the empires began to grow, people settled and they started belonging to a land because they always lived there. Moving forward on the 17th century, that's when the discovery of America began. So, for example, people from Spain move on to Mexico, and they say, hey, I'm living in Mexico. Am I still from Spain? And if you remember, they were called Creoles. So the Spaniards didn't want them, and they didn't even feel like Spaniards anymore. So, what am I? Well, they didn't call themselves Mexican yet, but they were from New Spain. Same happened, for example, with the English people. They didn't want to live in England anymore, so they moved on to America, and they didn't want to identify themselves with English. So, what am I? They started calling themselves Americans. Moving on with this, going back to the Mexican Constitution, we have the nationalities, and there's how come you have, for example, double nationalities. Mexico is one of the few countries that has that type of double nationality. Article 37 says that you can have, by birth, if you are born here, nobody can take away that nationality. Now that explains us why Lupita has Mexican nationality and also Kenyan nationality, and why Hubertus has Mexican nationality and also I think he has from Austria. So if they never live here, how come they can call themselves Mexican? That explains why to the first question. Now, you can lose your nationality if you acquire it by naturalization. For example, let's say Guille Franco, who was playing in Monterrey, and he became Mexican naturalized because he wanted to keep playing in the team, and they didn't have space for more foreigners. So let's say Guille became Mexican, but then he stopped living in Mexico. So you stop living in Mexico, for example, over 5 years, they can take away the Mexican nationality. Or if Guille says, no, I want to be Argentinian again, and he starts showing up his Argentinian passport, they will say, you're not going to be Mexican because you're preferring to use another nationality. These are some of the few cases. I hope you are interested in them. Thank you very much.